Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the happy crab. I think it's super adorable. The little claws open and close, and they kind of have a little feels like a little pocket to them, so you could put something in there and it'll hold it pretty well. Super cute. I love him. I am going to try using larger pony beads in this tutorial just to kind of give it a little, see what it looks like with bigger eyes, I guess, but I love him. There's some prep work involved. We have to make the legs first, the claws, the eyes, the cheeks, things like that. So, but band-wise, it is a bit band heavy. It's 444 red for this guy is what I used, and then the mouth, the cheek bands, and then, like I said, in this tutorial, I'm going to use the larger pony beads, which are 9mm. The ones on this one are the 7mm pony beads. You can use wrapped bands for the eyes as well. I'll show you how to go through that, but we'll get started here. He stands up too. First we'll go through, we need to make the legs. There are 6 of them, so it will take a little bit of time. I have already made 5 of them, so I'm going to show how to make just one of them for you. I'm actually using some of the pearl bands this time, be pretty. All the legs are double banded. So it's 2 bands on your hook, and I'm actually going to use my latch hook just because it's a little bit easier. The Loom hook works fine, but these are great if you can find them. So rug latch hook, I found them at Joann's, Walmart, Michael's apparently has them as well, but get one of these if you have one, or if you can. But it's 2 bands on your hook, wrap it around one time into a figure 8, then grab all the bands, wrap them around again, then 2 bands on the end of your hook, double them, so you're wrapping around to that figure 8. Then you'll grab all those bands and you'll pull them through what you already have on your hook, and then just put both ends back on. And I'll slide that down. So this is, I'm counting this as 1, 2, and we go up to 6 this way, so double, 2 bands doubled. So this will be 3, 4, 5, and 6. So again, yeah, the cap band I count as 1, and then it's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is on the hook. Then you'll take 2 bands and pull them through, just regular, and that'll kind of be your little placeholder, like that. So you want to make 6 of these in total. You'll want to pause the video to do that. So 6 little legs, and then when you come back, welcome back, you have the cheeks or the eyes. So if you're going to make the cheeks, it's just 1 band, whatever color you want the cheek to be, on your hook, wrap it around one time into the figure 8, grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through 2 bands that's the color of your crab. So you want 2 cheek bands. For the eyes, I'm going to use the larger pony beads, so I should just be able to, hopefully, squish them and push them through the center of the bead if you're using the larger ones. Go through. Doop. So yeah, like that. If you use these smaller pony beads, you'll want a piece of craft wire or something to thread through the smaller opening, but then it's just whatever string thread floss, anything you get it to the V shape. Then you'll take 2 bands and put them in the center, close it up, and thread it through the beads. Pull it down. Just take out your tool so you'd have the smaller ones. So the larger the smaller, whichever one you want to use if you want to use beads. If you're not going to use beads or you don't have any, you can still use the bands. If you want to have the smaller 7mm size eyes, then you'd use one band and you'll make it like the cheeks, just like those were. Otherwise, you can make them a little larger by using just two bands and doubling those up into a kind of a bigger eye. So that's up to you. You're just pulling it through. So you can have the larger or smaller eyes with bands as well, however you want to do that. Now for the claws. I've already made one claw ahead of time. So we'll need our loom. And you probably could fit all four of the portions on here, but you'll have to overlap. And I'll kind of show you what I mean when we get there. I'm going to put it sideways like this. And if you're going to try and get all four of them on here, start right down here on the corner. Put two bands. Like that. And then just so we kind of have the right positioning, two bands drop right here. Two more bands dropped right there. I'll say that this is all double banded, so two bands. Now we'll do this band right here. Then we're going to kind of zigzag down until we get to this pin past where we dropped. Like that. Now we're going to do a zigzag up here, starting on this pin. Zigzag over until you get to this pin. Like that. Then I'm just going to take two bands and drop them right here. Now if you're just going to make one claw at a time, you can leave a space right here and then we'll do the zigzags again. If you want to try and fit all four of them on here, because this portion right here is for this half of the claw, so we need four in total, so we have the four halves of the claw. But if you want to overlap them, be the same thing. You can just start right here, right on top, do zigzag, drop two bands, two more bands, and then you'll zigzag past your drop bands to right here. Like that. And then again, we'll start from this pin. This is from the last portion. So we'll start from this pin and do a zigzag up here. Like that. And then drop your bands on your two upper pins. And you can keep doing that down the loom until you have all four on there if you want to. So you can pause and just recreate this. And then I'll show you how we take it off so you don't actually connect them all together. So now what you want to do is we'll work on this one right here first. So if you have this all, if you went all the way down, then you'll just start up here and do the same thing that I do for here. But you want to take two bands, put them on your hook, wrap them around once, then just grab two of the bands, wrap them around again. So we basically have a triple wrapped two bands, I guess. Like that. I'm going to take my hook, grab those two bands I dropped that are on the right side, pull them through what's on my hook, and I'll kind of hang on to my cap band here if I can. And pull this back and kind of loop it back towards itself so we connected it right there. Then you'll take your hook, go back through your cap band, make sure you get the entire thing. Go back through, grab those other 2 bands that we dropped, pull those up through the cap band, and then put them back onto the pin over here. So that's what it looks like right now. So then we'll loom out of these 2 pins first. So go in through the top 4 bands, grab the next 2, loop them back towards themselves, go back into the same spot, grab the other 2, loom those back, then come over to the other pin, grab the bottom 2 or top 2, pull them down, same thing. Then we're going to loom out of these 3 pins right here. So go in through the top 4, grab the next 2, pull them back. Just keep doing that all the way over. This one in the middle will have 8 bands that you have to go through before you can grab the 2 and then pull those back. Like that. Then we drop these bands right here. So I'm going to take 2 or 1 of them, set of them, pull them out, hold them, stick my hook in through the bands on the pin, grab the 2 bands that we dropped, pull them up through, put both ends on my hook, and then all the bands that are on the pin are going to come off, and then what's on my hook is going to go back on to the pin. Same thing over here. Grab those bands, pull them tight, put your hook down in through your bands, pull up your drop band, both ends on your hook, all these bands will come off, and then back onto the pin. And we want to work in sections, so we don't want to do the next one yet until we've gotten this one off the loom. So how we're going to do that, it's like if you're starting up here, if you have all 4 of them on, just do what I'm doing here. First, you start over on the right, take your hook up through the bottom, get those bands on your hook, then you go down through the next 2 pins, pull them off onto your hook, and then on this last pin here, we don't want to do anything with the bottom 2, but those top 4, we're going to take our hook up through from the bottom. So go up from the bottom. Put those on the hook, and then all of this can come off. And that's 1/2 of our claw. And we're going to take 2 bands on your hook, double them, and then pull them through everything on your hook. Back on. Like that. And then we're going to take 2 bands and just pull them straight through as kind of a way to hold this in place. Like that. So now we can just set this aside without it falling apart. So then you'll move on to your next part of the claw that you have on your loom and do the same exact thing that we just did over here. So start with the 2 bands, wrap it around your hook once into the figure 8, then grab 2 of the bands, wrap them around again for that 3 or triple wrapped. Start up here, pull those bands through, back onto the pin, go through your cap band, and again make sure you get through everything. Grab the other 2 bands, pull them up through, back to the pin. So it looks like that. And loom out the top 2 pins. Like that. And you loom out these 3 pins. that. Then we'll do the drop bands again. Grab onto them, go through, pull the bands up, both ends on the hook, bands off the pin, and what's on your hook goes back up. Do that on the other one. Back on. Like that. So again, up through the bottom, then down, down, and then up through the bottom. And like I said, if you have all 4 of them on here, make sure you leave those bottom 2 bands on the loom still. Like that. And again, 2 bands, doubled, pull them through, back on the hook. There's the other half of my claw. So now what we want to do, so we need to put these together so they go together nicely. So we're going to just take 2 bands and you're just going to pull them through the first portion on the hook as a placeholder. Like that. Now I'll take my hook out of there. So that'll hold it in place as we do the other parts here. So I'll grab the other half of my claw, and I usually line them up so that I have the round parts to the outside, although they should be able to, with some finagling, flip back the other way if you do put them on incorrectly. But if you hold them together so they look like a little ball, so that you kind of hold them that way, move your hook down, grab those 2 bands that we put on earlier to kind of as a placeholder, put your hook through one end, get the other end around your finger, and then you want to slide your claw back onto your hook. And these bands are kind of sticky, so let's get it back onto the hook. I need to pull these over. So now this back claw is on completely. All 8 of the bands are on the hook. And I have 4 from the front one. So again, we're going to grab those 2 bands that we used as the placeholder on the front part of the claw. Put it on our hook. Put my finger through the other end. And then I'll slide this end back onto my hook as well. And I can take these 2 bands away. So then if I can spread this out enough so you can see here, it looks like that now. So now what we want to do is, it gets a little tough here. I use triple bands through here that are doubled. If you want to save yourself like 10 bands, you can use double bands, but this will be thinner. They'll be more the size of the leg. So I mean, it's not a whole lot of difference, but there is a difference. But like I said, I'm going to use triple bands, but you can use double if you want to save yourself a few bands. So it'll be 3 bands on the hook, doubled, and then pull them through everything on your hook, and then back on. Like that. So now we have our claw fairly secure. Now we just need to make the little end portion right here. So we have that one through. Now we're going to pull through 4 more of the triple doubled bands. So on the hook, wrap around again, pull them through. It is a little tough to do, but like I said, if it's too tough, just use double bands. This will be my 5th time. Well, 5th time total. 5th time of the triple bands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is on the hook. Then you'll just take 2 bands and pull them straight through. Like that. To hold the place. Like that. So now I have my 2 claws. So you're going to want to either, you're probably going to need to pause the video because you need to make the other claw. If you have the ones already out of the loom, then you can just kind of keep going, but that would be how to make those. So you have to pause and do that, and then when you come back, we have the crab part, and the rest of it goes fairly quickly, so we'll start with that. And I'm going to start kind of in the middle of the loom here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the 7th pin. So kind of one of these 2 pins right here. We're going to make a starburst center. Everything will be double banded, so it's 2 bands. Then we'll just go around in a starburst pattern from the center pin. I'm trying really not to sniffle. I've finally accepted that I now have allergies, and we've been getting a lot of warmer weather lately, and it's definitely coming with a vengeance. So you have your starburst here, and be the 2 bands. We'll do a cap band and wrap it around 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. Then you go in through your cap band, grab the top 2 bands wherever they are, or 1, grab the other one, top 2 bands wherever they are, and then just keep going around the circle doing that same thing. Like that. Push those down. And again, like I said, everything's doubled. So we're going to do 2 bands all the way around our hexagon here, or starburst. That. And then we're going to flip the bottom 4 bands over the top of the pin on each one of the pins. Push that down. Now we're going to expand this. So, to do that, some of these we can just lift up the top 2 bands and move them up. Other ones, if we were to do that, they would end up being crossed. So we have to actually pick up all 4 bands on the pin, move them down a pin, and then bring the top 2 back. And if you look here, the band that's on this pin, it comes around and goes to this pin. So there's no overlapping in between here. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. This one I have to pick up all 4 bands, lift them up, bring them up a pin, grab the top 2, bring them back. And then down on this one, I can just pick up the top 2 and bring them down. So again, there's no overlapping between these 2 pins. The band just goes through here. Now for these middle 2, I'm going to actually pick all 4 bands up, pull them down a pin towards the outside, and I'll pick up the top 2, and they're coming from this pin, so they're going to go over to the left, and then these bands that are left right here, they go over to the right, so I'm just going to move them over here. We'll do the same thing up here, grab all 4 bands, move them up, See, the top two bands are coming from the left, so they're going to go over to the left, and the bottom two are going to go over to the right. So basically, if you look around it, you'll see that like this band here comes around, goes to this pin. This band goes to this pin. This band comes around and goes to this one. None of these are crossed. Like this one isn't up here, there's no crossing in between. So you just want that on all of them. It's hard because like if you start putting on your starburst at any different spot, sometimes that varies how whether you have to pick up all four or just pick up the top two. So our next row is going to be our eye row. So you want your eyes, and I only made one. There's another one. Alright. So two bands right across the bottom. Two bands right here. Then we'll have an eye right here. It'd probably be cute too if you use like the bigger white bead and then put a little black dot on it afterwards. Two bands. Then our other eye. And then it'll be two bands on the rest of it around. I think I've probably had allergies my whole life, but I've just kind of been like in denial, or I'd be like, oh, I just have a spring cold or summer cold or fall cold, instead of just going, it's allergies. Probably would have helped myself a little bit better. So like that. Now we're just going to flip over the bottom two bands all the way around. Like that. Push the bands down. Next row is our cheek row. So it's basically the same as the eye row. Two bands down here. Two bands here. Then a cheek. And two bands in the middle there. Next cheek. And then two bands around the rest. I think my daughter has allergies too. It's very snotty lately. It's actually earlier this week my son woke up and he felt really warm. So like that, and you'll flip over the bottom four bands all the way around. Woke up with a 103-degree temperature, so he finally admitted that his ear hurt, but he really does not like going to the doctor. Ever since we took him to the eye doctor, he's only almost 4 now, so he was not very cooperative at the eye doctor, and we had to kind of cuddle him down, I guess, and he does not like doctors ever since. I'm just bringing these in towards the center so they're not wrapped around. So like that. So now we want to put our mouth on, so whatever color you want the mouth to be. I'm going to take that one band, wrap it around my hook into a figure 8, and then it's going to go across these two pins right here. So first I'm going to go in, grab these 4 bands off the pin, keep them on my hook, slide the mouth band down, put it back onto the pin, and I'll go over here, lift these up, keep them on my hook, and grab my mouth band, and I'll slide it over. And if you look at it, like if you hold it up, you'll say, okay, if it's across that way, then it'll be the right way for the mouth. So I'm just going to put it on, so it's kind of twisted a little bit. But if you just kind of pretend to do the motion before you put your bands back on the pin, just go, okay, I'm going to flip this up, and then it'll be straight across. So you do it this way, you'd end up with a twist. So you go like this, go, oh, twist. So it's kind of pretend flipping that band up before you actually let go or put the bands back on the pin. So, yay. Push that down, put these back onto the pin, and then flip this up. So it looks like that. Push those down. Now we're just going to do a row all the way around with 2 bands. But he woke up, so I ended up taking him into the doctor. Had him looked at, and he had an ear infection in his right ear. And while I was there, I was like, well, you probably want to recheck my daughter because she had an ear infection in both ears about 3 weeks or 2 weeks ago. And so then they checked her, and she still had a bit of an ear infection in her left ear. So I'm just like, alright, well, let's get their medicine again, and hopefully it works this time. And I'm probably both going to need tubes before long. But they've been quite crabby, needing a lot of attention lately. It's like that. Then you flip over the bottom 4 bands all the way around, which is understandable because ear infections are very painful. But it's very hard because they have this thing about where they sit on you when they cuddle. They like have to be on the right side, and they like have to sit on me. Like if I sit on the couch, they have to sit on me instead of like next to me. So then they both kind of compete for who gets to be on mommy for right now, and definitely ends up with some tears sometimes where I'm basically sitting on my head because they just want to both be right there. It's kind of adorable, but just loosening this up a little bit. I'll push all these down as far as they can go. So what we're going to do is kind of create the little edge around our crab here. I want to stand up. And how we're going to do that is it's 2 bands, and we're going to put them on the loom crossed all the way around. So on, cross it, like that. And you just do that all the way around. It's funny because my 2 youngest, they're 2 years apart, but they're my son, who is older, he's pretty short for his age. He like barely hits the charts for height. He's my little munchkin. But my daughter is kind of tall for her age. So like that, we did crossed all the way around. So now right on top of that, we're going to do 2 bands normally. And we're going to do that all the way around. So just kind of push these down a little bit. You don't want to like squish them way down, but just enough so you can get some bands on there. Just 2 bands normally all the way around. So a lot of times I get people asking me if they're twins or not. And it's like, no, but they could be, because they both are, they want to do whatever the other one's doing, and they get into all the same stuff, and They're definitely two little peas in a pod, that's for sure. They're so cute. Like that. So it's kind of a mess right now. So now what we're going to do, so if you look at the side here, you have the 4 bands from the kind of the main section underneath here, and then you have 4 bands in the middle that are part of the crossed bands that we put on, and then there's 4 bands on top that are from the regular row we put on. So what we want to do is take the middle 4 bands, which are the crossed row, and those are going to go up over the top of the pin. It's not too hard to see once you're looking right at it, but it's just the middle 4 bands and they're part of the crossed row. And you'll kind of see once you're done here, there should be a separation between the bottom main portion here and this little portion we're doing when you're all done. My youngest two, their birthdays are also only 3 days apart, so that definitely helps kind of increase the twin mentality and the just they get to celebrate a lot of things together. Although we do try to keep their birthdays separate, but this year it's not working out very well because on my daughter's birthday, my oldest son has a court of honor for Boy Scouts, so like one of the big things where he'll get to rank up and get awards for things, and it's all the families go, and it's a potluck, and that happens to fall on her birthday. So once you have those all the way flipped all the way around, now what we want to do is we're basically going to connect these 2 portions together. So we'll take our hook and we're going to go in through the top 4 bands, grab the bottom 4 bands, pull them up through the top 4, keep them on our hook. All the bands that are on the pin are going to come off, and then what's on our hook is going to go back on the pin. And you're going to do that for all the pins. So in through the top 4, grab the bottom 4, pull them up through, and then they go back onto the pin. What's on your hook. And it gets complicated this year with the Court of Honor because my son's scouting has increased, or his troop has increased significantly, so now there's like 50 people there for this potluck, which means that I have a lot of work to do for getting ready for it. So it's going to be a busy day. Not to mention I need to make birthday cakes, and oh, it's crazy. Same thing. We're getting there. We're almost done. I might, at the end, show you my first crab that I made that he turned out horrible. I mean, he was cute, but I was like, there's just something wrong with him. So I made this version. I think it's much better. Alright. So I'm going to take all of these and kind of pull them all towards the center. You can lift this back up again. So don't pull too hard, but kind of loosen it up. Like that. Push all your bands down. Now we are going to start attaching the legs and the claws. So we have all of our legs and claws. So first, we're going to have, in this spot right here, a leg. So just in our little portion that we left here, we have the two bands that are kind of holding it together. We're just going to use those to go on. Same thing in the next spot over. Like that. Now for our next spot, we're going to actually change a little bit. We want our claw and our leg on the same holding band, I guess, that we're going to put on the loom. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to take my hook and just stick it through the two bands that are holding my claw, and I'm going to pull it out until my bands are back on my hook from my claw. And these bands are so sticky. Just be careful. So like that. Then we have our leg. So I'm going to grab the holding bands from that, put my finger on the other side, just like hang on to it, and then I'm going to pull it through my claw again. Just so they're right next to each other like that. And then this will all go in the next spot. Like that. And then you can use the two bands that were as a holder, as the next bands on your loom. So next two. And again, two more. Then we're going to do the same thing down here with our claw and our legs. So again, want to connect our claws together, our claw and leg. But I know I probably could do this the other way as well, where I just pull the leg off and put it on the claw, but, well, you know, just like to make things difficult. So then again, grab those two bands, pull them through, and I snag something else, of course. There we go. Now when you put this one on, make sure, or put them both on, go back and check that your claw is towards the center and your leg is towards the outside. So it'll be like this. Like that. And the next space will be another leg. And the next one. And the last three spots here are just two bands. Like that. Make sure that you, again, double check your claws, that they're towards the inside and your legs are towards the outside. And then you have your other legs in the same spots. So then you go around and you flip the bottom four all the way around. Push your bands down. You can kind of wiggle everything towards the center if you need to for room. Our next row is going to be an alternating doubled row. So 2 bands down here on the end across. Next spot is going to be 1 band doubled through the pins. Next spot is 2 normal bands. Next one's doubled, 1 doubled. And then you just keep repeating that all the way around. 2 bands in the next, and then doubled, and then 2 bands across the end, and a doubled band, two bands, doubled, two bands, and doubled band. Like that. So that's all the way around. Then again, flip the bottom 4. I still have those little half moon shapes on my nails from that helpful manicure from a friend. And I thought about just like making them into smiley faces. I think it'd be cute. Like that. Push your bands down. And we have our last row. It's 2 bands all the way around. Right now though, my hands are... I've been making little bed tents for my youngest 2 from PVC pipe. And this stuff is so dirty. It just like dries my hands out. I don't know if that's normal or what, but my hands are in need of some TLC, I think. Just need some lotion. Like that. Then you'll flip the bottom 4 all the way around again. Tried painting my fingernails the other night and I don't know, I guess I was just doing it wrong. Kept getting bubbles and didn't like them, and what a pain. Alright, so push your bands down. I'm going to kind of loosen this guy up from the center if I can, a little bit. I'm going to make sure that the bands that are on the end here are flipped over towards the center on both sides so they don't get stuck when we take this off. You can use the threading bands, you can use the latch hook like I'm going to do. Just kind of makes it a little bit easier, but we just want to go into each pin and grab all the bands off and pull a band through them. We shouldn't have to worry about anything snapping because there are no doubled bands. It's a little bit of a stretch when you get to the far corner, but that. I'm going to poke him back out because he's all stuck. So like that. It's all on my hook. I'm going to take 2 bands, pull them through everything. Back on. I'll kind of try to adjust the bottom here a little bit before I close it. Pull it out a little flatter. Like that. And pull tight. We'll hide our tail. So now, if you've noticed, the crabs look a little bit different. To get them so that the claws kind of stand up, that little X row that we did, you take your hook and you can stick it through, and you'll be able to notice when you're in the right spot. You just stick it through there, and you can stretch it out, and you pull your claw up through. Like that. So it looks like he's trying to grab you. I'll show you on this one too with just the regular bands. You can just slide your hook down and you'll be able to find it. Pretty easily where that portion is. But again, just right above where that band is. Stick your hook down through. It won't stretch like this if you're in the wrong spot. Pull your claw up. And like that. So I'm not sure about the big eyes, but and then if you have anything like if the legs are kind of goofy, sometimes it just takes pulling them out a little bit and you'll be able to get them so they can stand up. These bands are quite sticky, unfortunately, so they're not quite they don't quite move as much on their own, so I'm going to actually have to take my hook, go in to the bands and kind of twist them to where I want them. Let's see if I can do it with my fingers. And some of this, like the curving right here, is just from the how I made them on the hook. You can adjust that as well. But just kind of give them a nice little tug, position them how you want to. Fix your mouth. Usually I just pull it out. Fix your cheeks. Usually try and make the little cross pieces hide away. Super cute! His legs are kind of goofy. Let's fix his legs. But I like these because, like I said, their little claws kind of like open up. So these two, you can say that they're either dancing or fighting, however you want to. But I think that they are super adorable. I really like them. I hope that you agree. Maybe a high five. You need to. orange one. This guy's got problems. So super cute. I love them. I hope that you do as well. If you make some of these, of course, I would love it if you would share them with me on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is feelinspiffy, or Crafting Fantastic. They both should find me. And then, of course, it'd be awesome if you subscribe, so you can find out when I come out with new things, because you just never know when that might happen. There. I'm gonna have fun with these. So, but thank you guys very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm thankful that you guys are with me to create and listen to my stories, and you're not too bored by them all. But thanks again, and I will have more for you soon.